Hello, children. Are you all ready to listen to this story? And if you all are ready, let's begin this story. Okay, where's my book? Okay, here it is. So, without delaying, let's jump into it. All right. Princess Aurora, who was known as Briar Rose at the time, was teaching her aunts how to plant a garden. For weeks they had tended to the seeds, watered, weeded, and waited. And the birds were finally showing. Oh, won't they hurry up? Meriwether said. It will be worth the wait, Briar Rose said. But Meriwether didn't like waiting. Later that night, she approached two other aunts. You know what would make the flowers bloom? She whispered to Fauna. Magic. Oh, for goodness sake, Flora muttered. She went to the cabinet where the magic wands were hidden. No wands, she scolded. We promised, remember? Everyone got ready for bed, but Briar Rose couldn't fall asleep. She had planned a surprise for her aunts, and she thought it might be revealed that night. Under the lights of the moon, something wonderful was happening. They are blooming, Briar Rose cried as she dashed down the stairs and out the front door. But how could that be? Fauna asked. The sun has already set, Flora said to Meriwether, giving her a stern look. It wasn't me, Meriwether cried. Briar Rose ran outside with her aunts following close behind. They were all excited to see the flowers. Sure enough, the garden was bursting with blooms. Surprise! Briar Rose shouted. Incredible, Flora observed. How can flowers bloom without sun? It's almost like magic. Well, Briar Rose began. We planted special seeds, evening primrose, moonflower, and night blooming flowers, Fauna interjected. I should have known. Just then a branch snapped. Briar Rose turned and couldn't believe her eyes. In the corner of the garden, a family of unicorns were grazing on the moonlit blooms. The baby's horn glittered. Briar Rose's eyes were glued to the magical creatures. Unicorns only come out at night for fear of being seen, Flora said to Briar Rose. They must have smelled the flowers. They eat petals. Briar Rose plucked a few petals, then offered her cupped hand to the baby unicorn. It licked Briar Rose's hand as it ate. It tickled. We should let them be, Meriwether suggested. You can eat as much as you want, Briar Rose said softly to the unicorn family. You are safe here. Briar Rose and her aunts headed back to their cottage. It had been a great day, and Briar Rose was very proud of their night blooming flowers. She couldn't wait to check on her enchanted visitors the next night. Meanwhile, Maleficent's raven was out for a night flight. He spotted something unusual and immediately reported it back to Maleficent. In her castle, Maleficent was not pleased at all. Unicorns? In that pesky cottage garden? We will have to do something about that, she said. Maleficent didn't like anything out of ordinary, and unicorns were the most extraordinary creatures of all. She would have none of it. When I am through, no one will be able to enjoy those flowers. Maleficent began to form her evil plan. She knew how she could get rid of the enchanted creatures, but she would have to act fast. Her raven flew back off to the garden. Moments later, a flurry of frost flooded from the tower window. It moved fast, heading straight for Briarrose garden. Those unicorns will have a hard time finding something to eat now, Maleficent said. Early the next morning, Briarrose rushed to the garden, but her excitement quickly turned to confusion. What bad luck, she cried. She feared her garden was ruined. Even worse, it seemed her unicorn friends were out of food. Briarrose had to help. She grabbed her cloak and a basket, then walked down a narrow path. Perhaps some flowers are blooming elsewhere in the forest, she thought. She noticed that the frost hadn't traveled far. She walked until nightfall. Then Briarrose caught a glimpse of a moving bush. It was Mother Unicorn. The mother unicorn had been chomping at a patch of wildflowers. Are you trying to bring food back for the baby? Briarrose asked. The unicorn whinnied. Let me help, Briarrose said, and together they plucked an entire bouquet. When Briarrose and the mother unicorn returned to the moonlit garden, Briarrose sprinkled petals across the snow. The next morning, Briarrose checked on her bouquet, and to her dismay, the flowers were already wilting. Briarrose grabbed a gardening book and flipped through the pages. I didn't let the frost stop me then, and I won't let the wilted flowers stop me now, she said. There are flowers that bloom even when it's cold and snowy. Did we plant any? Merryweather asked. We did, Briarrose answered. Forget-me-nots, with a little help, they will be ready by nightfall. Briarrose gathered her gardening tools while Merryweather roused other ants. They carefully watered the plants to clear and melt the snow. Next, Briarrose instructed Fauna to prune and trim the dead leaves. Flora gathered the debris and cleared it away. By the end of the day, the garden looked as good as new, and poking through the soil in the corner of the garden was a burst of flowers. The forget-me-nots had blossomed. Just then, the baby unicorn trotted forward and sniffed the blue petals. Oh, it started eating, and Briarrose patted the creature's head. I can't believe I have enchanted friends to visit with every night, Briarrose said. Flora gave other ants a sideways glance. My dear, she began, as you all know, flowers only last for a season. I'm afraid unicorns are similar, Merryweather added. They don't stay in one place for long, Flora said. But don't fret, Fauna interjected. Maybe they will come back again next year. Just like the flowers, Briarrose replied, as her aunts wrapped her in a warm hug. Briarrose was certain of one thing. She could overcome any obstacle that was thrown her way, especially with the help of her family. The end. I hope you all like this enchanting story. By the way, do you know what's meant by enchanting? If you are old enough, you can refer to the dictionary. Or otherwise, you can ask to your mommy, daddy, dada, dadi, nana, nani. Alright, stay safe. I'll be back with a new story. Till then, bye bye. If you like the story, subscribe, like, and share with other kids.